Of course, I'll try to make the video as short as possible. I don't want it to be like 30 minutes long, but because of that, I am trying to go a little bit fast, so slow down the video if you need to, retrack, but let's go ahead and get started. So, intro to parabolas. First of all, let's do a little recap of something we are going to be talking about today, which is kind of like graphing. So, let's do a little recall over here. So again, recall is kind of like, let's look back to, or let's remember what we did. Before we had two different types of graphs. So today, this is a graph. Today, we've learned about linear graphs. So linear, and hopefully if you remember the equations, it's y equals mx plus b. Or if you remember exponential, this goes back to CC3, it looks something like y is equal to ab to the x. Something like this. So today we are going to be adding a new piece to this with the polynomials. So let me go ahead and scoot up a little bit so you guys can see. But let's go ahead and talk about what is a parabola. So parabola. Okay, and I'm going to square because it's something new. It's something we're going to be talking about today. So parabola, it's the name of a quadratic. So I'm going to underline that. It's the name of a quadratic function when it is graphed. So it just means we have a quadratic, and it's the name we give it once we graph it. So let's do a little, let's remember what we're talking about for a quadratic. So let me go down here. So remember that a quadratic, it's a polynomial. It has an x squared term, And we saw some examples before we left for the dismissal. So for example, it could be something like just x squared, or it could be something like 3x squared minus 4, or it could be something a little more like negative 5x squared plus x minus 6. Remember, the key idea of the quadratic is that it just doesn't have a power bigger than x squared, but it can have just like one term, it could have two terms, three terms, etc. The biggest idea, it has to have this x squared term, right? And that's the highest power of x.